Welcome to the next big city. I'm your host, Emma Killian, and today I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Connor Mcintyre, who's here to represent the wonderful city of Photiopagos.
Thank you for inviting me, Miss Killian.
Oh, please, call me Emma. I would also like to introduce J.p Galleger, one of the main Royans in Photiopagos.
Hi, Emma. Thanks so much for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, what exactly is a Royan, Jacqueline?
A Royan is like a minor, except there are three: industrial, human resources, and economics. I happen to be in charge of human resources and multiple micro-Royans.
Well, what is a micro-Royan?
A micro-Royan is exactly like a Royan, only have a much smaller area to cover.
That sounds very organized. Now, Kyle, can you elaborate on the history of Photiopagos?
Well, we all know about the global economic crisis of 2008. Photiopagos was established in order to help Iceland in its dire financial state.
So what you're basically saying is that Photiopagos is built to help the overall economy of Iceland.
Exactly. You see, by founding our city, we are creating affordable housing and raising the overall land value.
Now, I've heard of these geodomes that are apparently very efficient. What exactly makes them so much better than an average house?
Geodomes are climate-controlled structures that have apartments, stores, hospitals, police stations, and even parks. Everything is more convenient and within walking distance, eliminating pollution.
That sounds remarkable. Now, you mentioned how close everything is. What happens if you have to commute?
Our mass transit system is divided up into two sectors, maglev and WART. Before you ask, WART stands for Wireless Automated Road Train. It works on basic principles of magnetic fields. Magnets are located in the front and back of our vehicles. Therefore, when a vehicle gets onto the road, and you can hook up to a lead car.
I know I'd love to do WART on the roads. It is so much faster and more efficient than many self-controlled vehicles.
That's fantastic and all, but how do you choose which car to hook up to?
Your car automatically finds a lead car that is going to a similar destination and hooks up to the back of it. This enables you to sit back and relax if you choose.
Oh, okay then. So what is this about maglev and how does that work?
A magnet is a train that levitates on a bed of magnets which propel the train at very high speeds. This allows for faster commute time.
Whenever I'm running late for work, I know I can count on the maglev to get me there on time.
Wow, very high tech. Now, I'd like to hear more about your communication systems. I've heard a lot of buzz about these wristwatches. What would you say makes them stand out?
Our communication system is known as Fiber Cellular. It's also known as FC. It's not only just a high-tech communication device, but it has also medical scanners that can alert emergency response services upon any serious problems.
I use my FC as a computer for all my business papers too. My kids use theirs for a lot of their homework.
Well, you mentioned homework. What's the education like here?
Every morning, my kids put in special contact lenses. They work as virtual simulations of school.
Wait, do they go to school alone? Isn't that bad for social skills?
Of course not. They can see and interact with all their friends and teachers, but they cannot physically touch each other.
How do they actually connect? And how do you enforce going to school?
In downtown Photiopagos, there's a central control station. They're in control of all the connections, and they can monitor attendance.
In addition, all the students who are doing well in school are rewarded with customization of their avatar.
Doesn't that just promote low self-esteem?
Here's how it works. You can't change physical attributes, but you can change clothes, accessories, and hairstyles. It gives students the motivation to work harder in school.
I would have never thought of that. It sounds amazing. It seems to me that it's creating a safe environment, too.
Exactly.
Now, I know Photiopagos is supposedly very safe and all, but there's always going to be health issues. Could you tell me about your health care?
A major part of our health system is the health scanners that are connected to the FC. They can find any and all health problems. There are also virus-destroying nanobots.
Nanobots? Interesting. I think I've heard of them. How do they work? Do you have any personal experience with them?
Nanobots are microscopic robots that are injected into the bloodstream to eliminate illnesses.
After the virus is gone, the nanobots dissolve in the bloodstream. This kills most, if not all, biological diseases. This includes cancer, the common cold, and even HIV and AIDS.
Also, in the hospital, there are robotic nurses that will attend to the non-life-threatening needs of patients. In addition, doctors and surgeons will not be replaced, however, due to the fact that robots do not have the central instincts required to operate on a human being.
When my mother was diagnosed with cancer, I didn't know what was going to happen to her. The nanobots that they injected into her killed all the cancer cells, and she's 100% cancer-free.
I'm so glad she's well. Now, could you tell me more about your emergency response?
The scanners can, of course, alert the paramedics, and you can physically call them too. They're computer-like robots that connect wirelessly to doctors around the world that ride in the ambulances. This way, they can perform life-saving procedures without having to waste time actually getting there.
In addition, when we were building the city, we decided to incorporate lanes strictly for ER vehicles, and we replaced human firefighters with fireproof robots to limit injuries to humans.
I see. Now that we're talking about emergencies, I'd like to know more about that volcano you have. Is it dangerous?
Our volcano poses very little threat to the general population of Photopagos due to a system of locks and gates that will rise up from around the volcano in the course of an eruption, and a vast system of evacuation plans.
Kyle, don't forget to mention about our power system. Sorry for interrupting. It's just the citizens of Photopagos are so proud of our eco-friendly geothermal energy.
No, it's fine. I can understand. Were all of the rumors true? Is Photopagos solely run on eco-friendly geothermal power?
Yes, indeed, the rumors are true. In Photopagos, we call it the flash drive system. It works on the basic principles of steam turning a turbine. A pipe is driven into the earth, water is heated by the magma, this turns to steam, which then rises and generates electricity by turning a turbine.
But how reliable is the power plant?
Well, we all know the longer things work, the more likely they are to fail. That's why we constantly monitor any structural fluctuations of the structural integrity of the power plant.
And that's why I'm proud to be a promotion.
So let's see. We've covered education, government, public safety, emergency response, power, and last but certainly not least, housing. So thanks folks for watching.
Wait, you forgot about the things to do in Photopagos.
Of course, how could we forget? It's one of our most impressive features.
Oh, well in that case, I guess we have time for one more thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't be the only one who's heard of the amazing spas, so what else is so great about the recreation here?
Our mega stadium. That's where all our sports are held. We also have TVs you can stretch to any shape or size too.
Also, the Aurora Borealis, casinos, and non-stop nightlife are a given. And there are numerous tours of the volcano and geyser that take your breath away too.
So it seems to me that Photopagos really might be shaping up to be
The next big city!
That was great, folks. Thanks. Describe a feature of your city that represents a future technology or capability that does not exist today.
First of all, we have our WART system right here. They're known as wireless automatic road trains, where if you're going to a destination and there's another car going to a similar one, there's a computer system that runs all the cars and can detect that car too, and you can find their car and hook up to the back of it, and that can take you to that destination until you choose to break off. And it's voice activated, so if you say you would like to break off, it's that easy.
Also the SIM school, so you put in contacts to go to school. Not many people today have that. And they are virtually there, and you can see and interact with all your friends and teachers, but you can't distance touch each other, so it like limits fights.
Also, there's nanobots that are injected into the bloodstream. We don't really have a cure for cancer today, but we discovered this nanobot technology, which is injected into the bloodstream, which targets just the cancer cells and leaves all the healthy and good cells alone.
What are the risks involved with your alternate energy source?
With our geothermal energy plant, when we were researching it, we saw that there were possible ways of earthquakes, even though it wasn't very likely, so we built our city around that, including a damping system that is underneath our buildings. It's kind of like the buildings that are built in California, since they're built to be able to stand up to earthquakes. So we focused around that on our buildings to make sure they would be able to withstand something like that.
In addition, if our power system was ever to fail, we have redundancies in many of our different power sources, including solar panels on most of the houses and wind power, which is generated by a cellular building.
Well, great presentation on the public needs. Could you explain to us a little bit more about the physical makeup of your city, how it's supposed to work?
Well, first of all, we have different zones, including industrial, residential, commercial, and agriculture. So in addition, even though our power plant has a very, very low release of greenhouse gases, there's only 2%, we raise it a little bit above the other buildings so that people wouldn't have fear about that.
Okay, with the individual vehicles, is it in the ward system you called it? When I bring that home at night, where do I put it? Where do we park all those individual components of that ward system?
Just like today, you would park it in a garage or on the street.
As you were working on your project here, I assume it was your team, perhaps a larger team. Did you have any disagreements among the team members, and if so, how were they resolved?
Well, we had many spirited discussions, As well, we had to come up with a bunch of compromises. For example, on the location of our city, we were at a stalemate between Antarctica and the Great Lakes, so we finally scratched everything, broke up into groups, and researched different areas. And we went on a consensus, and we came up with Iceland. And we usually solve most of our problems by separating
those meetings.
splitting up into groups, and then coming back together in one group and sharing all of our ideas and opinions.
Tell me about the primary forms of income, the primary industries that are in the city.
There is a flat tax of 5%, so businesses, industrials, and individuals pay 5% of their income to the government.
In addition, since our geothermal power plant isn't just in our city, it's a worldwide kind of company, they're so successful, they bring in a lot of income to our city individually since they have a main office here.
Also, since we are a main shipping company or a major shipping location between Europe and America, we have many shipping companies and many manufacturing companies.
You highlighted the importance of communication and use of high tech in order to do so, and that's very commendable. I love that idea. But in terms of the human relationship, with all of that connectivity, we can connect electronically or Facebook like today. I know we'll talk about the future. But that doesn't really do the justice. We still need to hang out with our friends, touch each other, hug each other. How do you promote that kind of city when each segment is compartmentalized in the way in which you have demonstrated there?
Well, first of all, I know a lot of that comes from our school system, since it sounds like you don't really get to touch each other. But with that, we have special clubs and things at our school that can meet up and plan during the school day at Sin School. And then we have community centers in downtown Kodiakos where they can meet and actually carry out those ideas.
Also, since our geotherms are climate controlled, it's constantly 75 degrees, so it's a mild temperature. So after school, you can always hang out with your friends and go outside, go to a park, play football, do the normal stuff a kid would do outside. It helps promote physical activity.
What's the government structure of your city?
There are three main ROYAMs, and if you didn't notice, ROYAM is mayor spelled backwards. So they're like mayors, and one is for economics, one is for industrial, and one is for human resources. And the industrial one would be in charge of things like power and water, and the economics one would be in charge of like taxes and income, and the human resources would be in charge of like entertainment and like the tourist attractions and all that.
And each area also has micro-ROYAMs that are in charge of that really small part of it. So it's very organized, and so not everyone is trying to look at everything like on a broad scope. Everyone has their own part to perfect and make it better.
Sounds like a really wonderful city. Assuming people would want to come there, how do you allow for growth?
Well, as you can see here, we are expanding at the moment. Right now, we have a population of 150,000, and right now, if we stay at the max capacity of which we have, we can manage for 175,000. So we are expanding at the moment by building new geodomes, and that's how we expand.
In addition, our geodomes that are already here are capable of expanding themselves to allow for more buildings to be built inside of them.
Tell me about the volcano. Why did you choose a location that's so closely related to a volcano? What were some of the benefits?
So when we were researching Iceland, we found out that Iceland was already run on a lot of geothermal energy, and we thought that it would be cool if we could show like one of the ways that they were able to get that. So we thought if we had it really close to a volcano, it was an easy way to show how they actually get to the magma and get it to the building within a close proximity.
Also, since it is a volcano and there's a lot of heat nearby, there's a lot of precious gems and diamonds and gold and stuff that we use and mine and process, which we use as jewelry and send to other countries around the world.
In addition, the rock that can be taken from the magma here, such as obsidian, we use in a lot of the products that we make within our city and manufacture for other countries that we can ship.
Great concept, ideas. Do you think that's marketable? Do you think people will come and live right next to a volcano that's hot?
Yes, I know it's a very, how should I say,
Creative?
I know you gotta put your trust in everybody all the engineers that went around to building this